So, Dylan, that's 2 weeks in a row now I've outwritten you. You are a writer with 2 full novels. I'm just a dipshit with a ninth grade education. I think I'm laying down the challenge for next week.
You are a dipshit. You are correct.
Live from the newly renovated D&D studios in downtown Boston, it's showtime. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my gong co-host, Dylan.
What's happening, hot stuff?
And joining us again, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mikki.
We got $70 and a pair of girls' underpants.
Oh, awesome. And joining us again, last but not least, the podcaster, packing heat, Tony 2.0.
Can I borrow your underpants for 10 minutes?
Apparently there's a panty theme in this household.
Yeah, I borrow Dylan's panties out of dirty clothes all the time. Okay, here we go.
stop.
This week.
Oh, that was
We
a little
will-
too much information. Thank you for sharing.
Don't you dare edit that
Dirty
out.
pig.
Yes,
Dirty pig.
This week, we will be discussing the 1984 coming-of-age movie 16 Candles, written and directed by John Hughes, starring Murray Ringwald, Anthony Michael Hall, and Justin Henry. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. Okay, guys, we have a new Patreon. We've discussed it a couple of times. We would love it if a couple of you would go over there and buy us a cup of coffee, help keep the lights on here in the newly renovated studio that I was talking about in downtown Boston at the top of the Hancock building. Not cheap. Not cheap to rent space up here. Yeah,
Thankfully,
so-
Des got a guy, so he worked
I got
the
a guy.
deal.
I got a guy.
I got a guy for that.
You can find the link. It's pinned to the top of our Facebook page, or you can search us on Patreon. For anybody who does this, for the low pittance of just $5 for $5. I mean, if you want to give more, of course. But for $5, we will give you access to the pilot episode of Hey,
You
did
can't tell
ever...
them that because I don't have it up there yet.
Honey, no
Oops.
one's going to give us $5. So don't worry about it.
So you got that going for you.
So if you'd like to hear that pilot episode, which is Blade Runner, go over to Facebook or Patreon. Leave us $5, and I will make sure that Dylan makes that podcast available for you. You can also find us on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you find fine podcasts. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share because it helps the podcast grow. Love you guys. Love you listeners. You're like, see, I quit drinking coffee a month ago. I'm a nicer person now.
Oh, I don't think so.
Fucking panty sniffing
You're
goblin.
not calling them fucking losers because they don't.
Okay. Time to hit the mailbag. So, Radio dropped us a nice line again. Yikes. Never thought of Aliens as a porn movie. You guys never cease to amaze me. Love the podcast. And Des, you're walking a fine, thin line with Dylan. I fear for your life sometimes. Great episode once again. And LP Longmire came for the shout out in the Alien episode and stayed for the rest of the podcast, saying it was a well done
Wow.
job by all. Thanks, LP.
He just took it back.
Yeah, well, we were close there.
Dude, I've been on a roll tonight.
That's it.
Down to fall off the fucking
He's caffeine deprived. Give him a break.
Cafex for your coffee alternative.
There we
Supports
go.
the show.
Cheap plug time.
Yeah. Okay. Next show will be Jaws. Jaws was actually the second episode we ever did. We did it with the original Tony. It was Rambo was the first one, and then Jaws. The Jaws episode was odd. I was recording my audio with a pair of earbuds with the mic on it, and it was getting lost, and you literally can't hear anything we're saying. It sounds like we're recording from the bottom of the ocean. So we are going to, since it's the 50th anniversary coming up, we are going to do it again. So be looking
I think it
out.
deserves it. It's a movie that deserves it.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the 10 best films of all time, if you ask me.
Yes, and we're actually going to go down to Tony's house and view it in his backyard with a group of other people barbecuing, I assume, on
Nice.
a big screen, mosquito bites, the whole 9 yards. So
Yeah.
there you go. Let's do some quick opening thoughts on this one. I will go first. So growing up in the 80s, of course, I've seen this movie hundreds of times. Near and dear to my heart. I have good memories of this one. The question is, how did it stand up to modern day morals and ethics? This is coming from a guy that sniffs dirty underwear. Let's find out. Delin.
Someone devoid of ethics and morals. So we're pretty
Yeah.
good.
So this morning, Des says to me, I woke up this morning and I said to myself, today I'm going to make a concerted effort to be less annoying and be nicer to my wife. And the first thing he did when he came downstairs this morning was dropped his dirty laundry on my head.
I'm sure it was a complete accident.
It was my bedding. It was my bedding. Don't make it sound like it was
dirty
my
sheets. Okay, so
drawers.
like for 2 weeks he's been laying on these sheets, so they're dirty, and he dropped them on my head as I was sitting watching television.
That's not all I've been doing on those sheets.
Oh,
there you
boy.
go.
Okay.
There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a family-friendly episode.
No.
But hey, what do you want for nothing?
Dylan, you ever see the movie?
Yes. Oh yeah, I've seen it. It wasn't one of my favorites back in the day. I was not like a Molly Ringwald person, so I liked edgier stuff, but I had seen it for sure.
Ooh, she's edgy. Mikki, 16 Candles, your experience.
Oh God, I've probably seen this 25 times. Like Dylan, I'm not necessarily a Molly Ringwald fan, but I do like her stuff, and I just love the music.
There's a good soundtrack for sure.
Yeah, and it was just nice to kind of go down that nostalgia lane today.
Yeah. And Tony, your thoughts. Had you seen the movie before preparing for the podcast?
I have. Essentially agreeing with the ladies, I was not a huge fan of this film when it came out. I appreciated it much later when I got a little better perspective. I think it took Breakfast Club to put me on the Molly Ringwald team, but I think in rewatching it, it's classic John Hughes, and he's a master.
Yes.
Everything he did was wickedly entertaining, super well done, and the guy did it all. Director, writer, you can't say much more. Nothing he did is not worthy of the big screen. So
Could
good
not
film.
possibly agree more. With a box office budget of $6.5 million and a box office gross of $23.5 million, this movie was considered a huge success. Let me give you guys a synopsis. A girl's sweet 16 birthday is anything but special. Her family forgets about it, and she suffers from every embarrassment possible.
Awkward high school sophomore Samantha Sam Baker struggles to get through her 16th birthday, which her entire family forgets because her older sister Ginny is getting married the next day to a sleazy guy whose father may or may not be involved in organized crime. Sam is also plagued by her ongoing infatuation with the popular and attractive senior Jake Ryan. Her day at school fares no better when only one of her friends acknowledges her birthday. She finds out that her completed sex quiz, which she slipped to a friend, never actually reached the friend, and unbeknownst to either of them, was intercepted by Jake Ryan himself. Sam panics as the quiz contains personal information, including the fact that she's a virgin and is saving herself for Jake. At the same time, she doesn't know that Jake has a hots for her as well, but is too insecure to even talk to her. So, while I've got a bunch of issues with this movie and the stereotypes that it really leans into hard, one thing that I really feel like they got right was the way that school lookies and the clothing, he didn't go way overboard. He kind of stayed right in that Chicago, Illinois lane that this guy likes to do his movies in, right? And he has that dialed in. You get Farmer Ted on the bus with Sam, that really cringy interaction between the two of them. The treat of Joan Cusack in her neck brace, which is a running gag throughout the movie.
Oh my God. She was awesome.
Yeah. It's hilarious. And, just these kids walking into the school and the things that they're wearing, it wasn't so overly done and flashy. This was real kids wearing real clothes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this movie got it right like a couple other movies. I mean, you've got Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's going to open up with, the same basic montage where, director just gets it right. There's a few movies that are really like this. Dazed and Confused, same thing, nailed the 70s. Some of these guys just get it. So in the opening, we meet the family and we get the setup for the story, right? And they're going to give it to us pretty quick. We're going to know what it's all about. And let me start with Mike, Sam's little brother. I've always loved this character because this is me. He's just a little punk. I love
just a
this
little
cocky
shithead.
little. He is. He's a cocky little bastard, and he's living his best life. He's taking full advantage of just being a little kid in this, middle class neighborhood, great family, and he's just this cocky little dude. And what I love about this character, I'm going to say it later in the podcast, he plays way beyond his years. I just love the way he's written and his lines. I mean, when Ginny, who is, actually Molly Ringwald's sister in real life, so plays her sister in the movie, is her sister in real life. I never
I
knew
thought
that.
the little girl was her sister.
No.
It's Ginny? Ginny's her sister?
I don't know.
think
Maybe
so.
Maybe you're right.
I think it's the little girl.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
I
so.
get the feeling Des made that up on the spot.
Yeah, guess what? Guess what? Right now, I will bet you $5 cash that it's Ginny. Mikki, can you Google that while I keep going?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, when Ginny sneaks into the bathroom, when she kind of like snipes it from the father, Mike delivers a line to her that is so good. He says, "She has her period. That should make for an interesting honeymoon." And the father goes, "Where'd you learn about that?" He says, "School." He goes, "Oh, at least I'm getting my money's worth." Fucking really funny. I love the character.
By the way, pay up.
Oh,
Me?
really?
Beth Ringwald is Patty. Blanche Baker is Ginny Baker. So
Thank
Beth Ringwald
you.
is Patty.
Oh,
Too bad he doesn't have $5 to give me.
Yeah, it's okay. He's going to donate it to our Patreon and keep those studio lights on. It's all good.
Thank you, Mikki.
You're welcome.
Next, we meet Sam. She's on the phone with Randy. Now, Randy's bedroom. This is the one room that I think they went too far with. I love it. It's a dream bedroom. Dream. But I mean, this is literally out of an MTV video from a Duran Duran video. But it's fucking awesome with the reds and the blacks and the smoked glass cubes. It's amazing. And I love this scene, and I'll tell you why. It's nostalgic for me. This is how, for any of you kids out there, this is how it was in the 80s. You called your friends on the family phone every day to the point that you would get yelled at for tying up the phone. Remember that? You're tying up the phone. You're tying up the phone. Like, you can't even imagine that as a kid today. It doesn't exist, but that's how it was. And a lot of times you would start getting a time allowance on the phone per day.
Yep.
And just wow, right? And now nobody even wants to talk in phone. It's all text. And like Dylan said, John Hughes, he really understood the 80s. He gets it. He gets it right. And that's just, from all the teen movies he had done. And he was the king of doing this style of flick. Randy's room brought me back. I mean, this is what our rooms looked like back in the day. We had our posters up. This is every girl's room that I hung out in the 7th and 8th grade. And Dylan, as for Farmer Ted's behavior on the bus, it's inappropriate, but it's also very innocent adolescent behavior. It's marking Ted as a very young girl, crazy kid trying to find his identity. And it's fun for me. I didn't have a problem with this behavior. It's very innocent.
I think what I disliked about it the most was he's in her personal space. Like, he's right behind her neck. And then he gets in the seat with her. There's no reason to do that. You were close enough in the back, in the seat right behind her. You could still talk to her. It was like crowding her. And to me, that's, I guess I'm to the place in my life where I don't like that personally. So to watch it, I was like, oh God, back the fuck up.
I was thinking the exact same thing. And I actually have that in my notes. And granted, times are so much different now, but
Sure.
And when I was younger, I wouldn't have even thought twice about that. Well, when I saw that movie when I was younger, I didn't even think twice about it. But now I'm like, kid, fucking back up. You know what I mean? So I'm totally with you on that one. For the time, I guess it didn't bother me, but now as an adult looking back, I'm like, no fucking way would I let you get that close to me.
I mean, it's not like they're on the MBTA and they're adults. These are just innocent kid jokes and pranks. And he's, like I said, he's just trying to be the wild man. He's probably 14. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, trying to find an identity. And finally, we get the sex quiz. Okay. This was 100% legit. This shit happened. Notes like this were the commonplace in high
Absolutely.
school. It was either done in the little piece of paper that you folded up that you would chick, and it would pick a number. Chick, pick a guy's
Yeah.
name. You know, so I mean, this was total commonplace in high school. Now, the problem with this scene is Sam looks like she's in high school and Jake looks like he's in college. And it is a stark contrast for them to be love interests in this movie. But I will say this, I really, really like Michael Schaffling as Jake. I like him. He just works for me. And fun fact, he actually dropped out of acting and he is now a carpenter. I think he lives in Oregon. And yeah. That's how he makes his living these days.
I think you absolutely hit it on the head. He does definitely look older, but I think too, between, she's supposedly a sophomore, he's a senior, they're in like a homeroom together, which is just basically 30 minutes of killing time until you actually go to class. She is, like most of the characters in this movie, 15 or 16 going on 26. You know what I mean? There are no children in this film. Even the little kids with the dorks waiting outside at the dance are all much older, kind of maturity wise than the numeric age. And I think that's just because in the 80s you had more freedom. I think now, unfortunately, we have different culture and, we cancel people we don't like. And there's all this other crap going on. Whereas in the good old days, you just did that, yeah, we were more flexible. We were a little more open and accepting of certain things and maybe not of others, but long and the short, yeah. Hughes just nails it like usual. It's his first film, but he's got such a great recipe for success. You don't argue with it. You just go with it because it's spot on. You put yourself in amongst the characters because you can relate to them really easily.
It really could. And that's why I identify with this movie so much. And I wrote it in my final notes. I find this movie wildly entertaining. I just do.
Well, and it's funny because you say that because like when we were watching it today, like Tony and I both literally laughed out loud so many times because I forgot like how funny it was. I just love that it's like, the typical supposedly perfect suburban family, in the 80s, the big house and the brother and sister. By the way, her little sister, Sarah, looks like she's 40. She's like an old little kid. Do you know what I mean?
It's the bad perm hairdo.
She's fucking smoking a Marlboro. She's in a house coat.
How you doing?
Hey.
I love, for me, I love that Common People was playing on in her room when she was, getting ready and stuff. But the scene when they're going to the school and just the shot of all the sneakers as they're going by. I just remember like being in middle school and high school for some reason that was like what shoes you wore in high school said a lot about your place in high school.
Yes.
And I remember like there was like, I don't even know what they're called. I don't know if they had a name at the time, but they were like these Nike sneakers with the red swish.
Cortez.
And then I don't know.
They're white leather with a red swish. And
they're low cut.
Cortez. Yep.
Yes. Those were like the shoes.
Oh,
and I remember it was like the boat shoes like Jake had on at the end of the movie and like the Jordache jeans and the Z Cavaricci. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that just like when I saw them in the movie, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, but I love that they showed all the different shoes, like the jelly shoes.
The leather Converse, the high top leather Converse. Right. Yeah. Oh, I noticed
I have
those.
to say, like all the kids on the bus, like and I love that the bus was like primarily geeks. I just thought that was so funny because they're basically telling you like if you have to take the bus to school, you're a nerd. What kind of and it's funny because I didn't notice it when I was younger, but now that I'm older and wiser, it kind of creeped me out. And I did like Jake's character. I thought out of all like the popular kids, I was not one of the popular kids, by the way, in high school. I thought that out of all the popular kids they showed, he was the most kind of down to earth, level headed, and seemed like he would hang out with like people like me in high school. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I really, the thing that kind of bothered me now that I'm older is if you really think about it, Jake wasn't really interested in her until he saw that she wanted to have sex
Yeah,
with him. You
yes,
know what I mean?
yes,
Like,
yes.
he didn't even really know she existed. And then he was just kind of like doo doo doo, and then he found the note and he's like, "Oh, this chick wants to have sex with me. All right." And then it was like,
Well,
"Oh,
But
okay."
these, yeah,
Mick,
Tony, go
I
ahead.
want to debate you on that just a hot
Yes.
minute. Only because if you remember, as she's turning when she's answering, what is it, question 7,
Yep.
right? Who would you do it with?
Right.
She looks at him, and he catches her, and he's
Yeah.
given her the eye. So he's
Yeah.
definitely interested before
No, he's
he
giving
gets
her the
it.
eye because he's got nothing else to look at, and her friend is
No,
sleeping.
but wait a
Tony,
minute. He's not looking at her because he's bored. He's looking at her in that way, if you know what I'm saying.
Tony, 100%. He
Yeah.
the shot.
You can see that he's got an interest in her, and it's
The
not
sh-
hyper evident, but it's definitely there.
The shot opens with Jake Ryan literally fixed on her, staring at
he's
her.
just gawking at her, man.
He likes her.
Yeah.
He's got a crush on her.
Okay.
But I think the revelation that she wants to bang him and she wants him to be her first definitely fast tracked his courtship.
Right on, man. Yeah,
Right.
you're gonna, not only that, but let's be real. Nobody, I don't care if you're the most popular guy in school, nobody wants rejection. So when you get something that's proof positive, brother, you're going to step on it. You're going to go to top gear and hit it.
Yeah, and finally, Mickey, I just wanted to agree with you on Jake Ryan because, through the movie, they really make it so he's not identifying with his girlfriend, Caroline, really.
Yeah.
Like, they don't identify. They're about different things. She's about partying and he's about, like, the relationship. And then his best friend, when he's asking her about Sam, he's like, what do you think, she's retarded? Like, he's retarded and he's fucking, like, 40.
Right.
And Jake is like, I'm more than just about partying and all that. I want to be with someone I can talk to. So, I think he identifies with the other class of kids in this.
Samantha has a whole new set of problems when she arrives home to find that both sets of grandparents are staying there for the duration of the wedding visit. On top of it all, one set of grandparents is occupying her room and have brought along their bizarre Chinese exchange student Long Duck Dong. Sam's grandparents force her to take him along to the school dance that night, and to Sam's amazement, it takes the donger only 5 minutes to find an unlikely girlfriend, the tall, large-breasted Jock Marlene, promptly nicknamed Lumberjack. Meanwhile, Farmer Ted is back continuously and unsuccessfully trying to bed his love interest Sam to satisfy a bet with his friends. On the dance floor, he boldly confronts Sam and does a wild bit of dancing in front of her friends, and she runs out of the gymnasium embarrassed and in tears. So again, this school dance feels pretty true to how awkward and uncomfortable school dances were. You get the guys lined up on one side, you get the girls on the other side. Everyone's just staring across the way at each other. It was weird. I don't know why we did it to ourselves. We're introduced to Dong here, and holy shit, the way Hughes leans into this character is a little too hard for me. As funny as it was back in the day with the gong going off every time, now it was like, oh, okay, we got the joke. We don't need to do it 6 more times. Like, we got it.
Just curiously, too, I looked at some of the other people that tried out for Farmer Ted. Ralph Macchio. What?
No.
The best part, too, is that one of the reviewers was like, he showed up and he had like the tape on the glasses and the pocket protector to kind of come to the reading as a geek. And they said Anthony Michael Hall got the job basically because he came as himself and he read the part.
Yeah.
And they said, look, this is what we want. We don't want a guy who looks the part. We can, get a costume person to work with you and do that. We'll tell you how to look. We want you to be the actor.
Yeah, Tony, these kids felt like themselves. They really just felt like they were playing.
They're
themselves.
not acting. They're just doing kid shit.
Yeah,
right.
Just like
that's
Breakfast
the other
Club.
thing. You got to remember that the target audience is 15, 16, 17-year-old people in the 80s. So I agree with you, Delyn, but it's the idea that, back then it wasn't, the way it is now. It was, God, I hate to say it's 40 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
Back then it was funny. Now I didn't find it quite as funny.
And even Ted is such a classic. He's making the martinis with and he's wringing the lemon peel around the glass to listening to Sinatra after the party. And then you look at the rest of that soundtrack and it's, Stevie Ray Vaughan, the general public, David Bowie, Billy Idol, AC/DC, the Vamp, who else is in there? Thompson Twins, Patti Smythe, so many guys, Stray Cats, Spandau Ballet. I mean, it's incredible. It's like all of the 80s together.
It's quite a goulash of
Yeah,
great
and
80s
he's
music.
got to be a huge Oingo Boingo fan because I think in every movie he does, he picks one of their songs and highlights it. But
So, in this section of the movie, we get to meet the grandparents for the first time. And this little booby squeezing scene, I love it. I love this scene because it's ironic that all Sam wants is to be noticed as a woman. That's all she wants. Her 16th birthday, she's looking at herself in the mirror. She just wants someone to notice that she's changed a little bit. And who's going to notice? Grandma and grandpa. And she's going to feel her up while the grandfather stares with these giant, creepy bug eyes, dude. It's a fucked up scene, but I love it. Next, we meet Long Duck Dong. This is possibly the best character in the movie for sure. And I can see Dylan's point about the gong every time Dong does something funny or there's something relating to Dong. But I think John Hughes, I think the betrayal that he did with Gong, this kind of over the top thing, is what made him true pulp culture character to this day. You remember this guy. People talk about this guy. And if you had kind of made him disappear back into the fray with everybody else, I don't know if it would have been that.
Oh, don't tell me that he wouldn't have continued to stand out without that gong continuously
The
going off.
gong is great, and we'll get to it. So next we get another great scene with Mike. He's in the kitchen telling Sam, smoking a pretzel. Yup. He's telling Sam's like, there's a weird Chinese guy in my bedroom. And Sam says, Ginny dumped Rudy and Long Duck Dong is now her new fiance while he's pretending to smoke a pretzel like a cigarette. And that's where I go to again. This actor is playing the part way beyond his age, and it's so much fun. The kid is pulling it off. A lesser actor might not be doing this. It felt so natural. Like this is just one of those weird kids. And we get some more great lines. Like he says to Sam in the kitchen, "What the hell are you bitching about? I have to sleep under a guy named after a duck's dork." He goes, "It's Sofa City for you, sweetheart." I fucking love this shit. And the mother's just laughing. And Glenn, here we go with the gong. So at the dinner table, we get a close up of Dong. He's just sitting at the end of the table, and we get another gong, and then we get a shot of the entire family staring at him like cavemen looking at fire for the first time. Right? It's so strangely funny. I just really love it. And also, if you look, Dong is using a spoon and a fork upside down like chopsticks.
Yes.
It's so subtly funny. And then it's revealed that Dong is basically a captive servant for his grandparents. Oh, he mows the lawn, he does the dishes, he rubs grandpa's feet. It's just like this kid is not a foreign exchange student. And when grandma invites Dong to go along with Sam at the table, we get another great gong, but this time it's Sam's face in absolute horror. And I laughed out loud, man. I thought it was really great. And next, the dance. This scene, like Dylan said, magical for so many reasons. First, it shows the different stages of high school through the eyes of different characters. We get Ted. He's a freshman, almost no life experience, just happy to be there, psyched to be out of fucking junior high. He's at the high school dance. He's scraping for any female attention he can get at any cost while trying to impress his friends. This is the introduction to high school. Next, you get Sam. She's a sophomore. She's somewhere in the middle. She's desperate to be noticed and taken seriously as an adult, but she's not quite a fucking senior yet, but she can't relate with the freshman anymore. I get it. And finally, you get Jake and the seniors, his girlfriend. Jake has presumably been held back a few years. So this goes triple for
He's
him
37.
and Caroline. Yes, him and Caroline, they're the most bizarre couple in the school because they're both in their 30s. And they just want to get drunk and party. They're done with the high school experience. And I thought that was really well done by John Hughes, especially for his first movie. Because he's going to explore this again in Breakfast Club, almost the exact same way. We're going to see the 4 different levels of high school trapped in a library. So he does this again and again. And finally, we get this quick scene of Caroline and her friend walking past Sam, and she's crying in the hallway. And if you listen to what they're saying that Jake is worried about the house because it's been trashed before at previous parties. And Caroline's like, she's a fucking douchebag. Her and her friends are douchebags, and those aren't her real friends. And we're going to find that out later in the film.
Yeah, I mean, I'll concur. High school is a social experiment gone wrong in many, many places across the U.S. And it doesn't matter if you're from Berkeley, California, or Moline, Illinois, or Boston, Mass, or Savannah, Georgia. It's all about the same, no matter how you slice it. You have your groups, your cliques. You got the jocks, you got the dweebies and the stoners, and what was it in? Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Oh, all the kids love him.
Yep.
The motorheads and the jocks and the dweebies and
The
the
Megazord dweebies.
yeah, and the greasers and whatever. It
He's
depends
a
on
righteous dude. Everyone
they
loves
all
him.
think he's a righteous dude.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of thing too where that's absolutely true. Some people just they're able to bend kind of the way they act. Everybody's experience is different, but we all kind of felt it. And there are certain people you're just not going to get along with because they do different stuff. The cool part is I'll love to see them later and go, you were always that kid who had the, too much eye makeup or whatever. And now you're whatever you are,
Yeah.
we were talking about other people and like the stuff they did. She would say they were pegging their pants. I would say they were pinning their pants.
No, pegging.
Okay.
Pegging.
Well,
Pegging.
you're all New Englanders, and I'm
Yep.
kind of more West,
Yep.
Western U.S. than that. Midwest is not quite there, but
No, we pegged
to
them.
the idea that regardless of what your terminology is, we know what we mean because we've all seen it.
You pull it
Yeah.
tight at the ankle, you fold it twice, and you got your fucking little Nikes on. You get it.
There you go, from the knee down, or depending on like when soccer started coming in. What was it? Adidas made the Samba. And that was like the hot shoe for a while when the shell toes came out in the late
Yep.
80s.
Yeah.
Run DMC made that shit super popular. Not only that, but I went to a school that had everybody under the sun. We had immigrant kids, we had white kids, black kids, Latino, any Asian extraction, you name it. Whoever was there and qualified got to the school. So it was like, you were constantly influxed with all sorts of music. I mean, I had never listened to certain music, and I went to this high school and I was like, damn, that's good. And people were like, cool. You're at least you're willing to be open-minded enough to listen and check it out and see what was going on.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of thing where, it's the same regardless, but it's the idea that this movie just taps it right in the vein.
Tony, you really stabbed on a point there about high school. And I remember how much I mean, not so much high school because I quit in the 9th grade, but junior high more for me, just meeting different kids with different, tastes, like, heavy, like, oh, have you ever heard of fucking Motorhead? Like, oh, what the fuck is that? Oh, you play a couple of songs and, learning about different movies because you're just a tiny little dude with zero life experience. So whatever this kid's parents liked or older brother liked, he passed it on to him and then they pass it on to you. And this is how things happen. And then you decide what you like, did you like the kids that talked about, professional sports, like the kid that talked about Judas Priest? I went the Judas Priest route. So, all right.
Been there, done that.
In the auto shop room during the dance, Sam, who had retreated there to hide, and Ted begin talking. Sam confesses her love for Jake. Upon hearing this, Ted tells her that Jake has been asking about her at the dance, and they agree that Sam should just go and talk to him. As she's leaving, Ted reveals the wager to Sam, who, in her excited state, agrees to loan him her panties to help him win a dozen floppy disks. She goes to confront Jake, and though he appears happy to see her, she freezes up and runs away. The geeks, Ted, Cliff, and Bryce, hold a peep show of Sam's panties for $1 a head before they go to crash the senior party at Jake's house. During the course of the entire night, the house is destroyed and a group of beer-chugging jocks pin Farmer Ted under a glass table, abduct his 2 geek friends, and take them for a joyride in the trunk of the car before releasing them unharmed at home. I'm showing my age here, and I can't help it. It is what it is. The pure chaos and destruction in this home pissed me off so much. I know Jake is a teenager. I get it. In at least as far as this movie is concerned, right? But he seems so unbothered by the fact that his house is being fucking destroyed. And it's not just messy. The wine cellar has been destroyed. The sound system is destroyed. Like, everything needs to be replaced. His furniture needs to this is not just a regular rager. This is disgusting. And he comes off as a spoiled brat to me because of it. He goes into his bedroom. He's looking at his thing. He's kind of pouting. It's like, I'd be like, dudes, get your fucking shit together and get the fuck out of my house. But he just kind of let it happen. And it seems like you're a little spoiled brat. Your parents have enough money to fix it, so it's not a big deal to you.
Yeah.
And his parents might be a little absentee. because he doesn't seem concerned about cleaning up or fixing a fucking thing. So I don't get it.
So this was one of the missteps in the movie, which was underlining the trashing of the house. It didn't need to be in the movie. John Hughes was hoping that the viewers, kids, would just gloss over it, basically. That's why Jake's not really worried about it. And at the end of the movie, the house isn't trashed anymore. It's just supposed to be a vehicle to get you from point A to point B. And you're not supposed to really think about it. I mean, I thought it was weird that he chose to do it.
I think it needs to be in the movie because everybody's been to a house party that's been bad like that. I'm pretty sure if you've been around, you've seen somebody get taken advantage of. They're nice enough to bring you in their home. And people, because kids don't give a shit because they're very self-centered and they only think about themselves. They don't have a problem, throwing their cigarette butts in your plants and leaving their beer cans everywhere and not cleaning up or not doing anything. The other difference is, I think, with where we're going with, Jake Ryan is more to the idea, not that he's spoiled, but that he's so disillusioned with that whole set. Like, he's not partying. He's not drinking. He's not angry, but
so
he's
you're like
just
saying he's numb.
Now, this is Caroline's
almost
party.
Right,
This is
right.
Caroline's party.
Exactly. First of all, she invited everybody. And remember, she says, "Oh, I just invited 2 or 3 people and I told them not to tell anyone," which is code for they fucking told everybody under the sun to be there, right?
Yes.
Because these broads can't keep their mouth shut for 5 seconds because that's what they do. The other difference is we know that we've already set it up to the point where he doesn't want to. It's the kind of thing where I think it's just Hughes's way of showing that he is not materialistic. So it's not altruism, but it's more to the idea, like, he goes, "It's your dad's car. It's a Rolls Royce." He's like, so?
Yep.
To him, that it just has no value. It has no bearing. He's like, "Here, take her home."
Tony, I love the way you're painting the picture of Jake Ryan here, because I got kind of the same vibe too. Like, he's not interested in the party. He's done this a million times before. He's got, like Mikki said, an absentee family. Maybe he's got one of these fathers that just, instead of giving him love, gave him money. And this is his way of saying fuck you and kind of rebelling back against it.
Right. He's driving a Porsche 944 as an 18-year-old. I mean, what more could you want? And it was the kind of thing where he says, "You're going to let me drive your dad's car?" He goes, "Well, you said you couldn't drive a stick." So he's practical, even in the weird excess that is what he's doing. And it's hilarious because he says, "Oh, she's so drunk, she won't know." She's like, "Who's he?" He goes, "He's me."
I'm guessing John Hughes didn't think this far into it. I just think that he thought this was going to be teenagers watching this movie, young kids, and they weren't going to wax poetic about the house and Jake Ryan's worry of it. They're just like, that's funny. The kids trashed the house, and 2 scenes later, it's never brought up again. And you're supposed to just forget about it and move on with the movie.
Right. Yeah, but I think that compounds the frustration. She's hammered. She's got her hair stuck in the fucking door. She's useless anyway. I mean, his disdain is obvious. It's more to the idea that he's just so fed up. It's futile to even get angry. He's like, fuck it. May as well let him have a good time. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't need it. I don't want it. I hate to say it, but it's almost like he's up on a pedestal above them, but not in a haughty kind of "I'm better than you" way. Just more to the idea of, let the kids party. When they leave, I'll deal with this shit later. I just want to go and figure out what's the deal with Sam and her people.
In the next section, I'm going to get more into the party because that's where Dylan brings it up. And the way that the kids were acting and the way they were beating up the house. Again, I just think that it was unnecessary for John Hughes to take it as far as he did. And it's not realistic. And I'll get into it. I've been to hundreds of fucking parties and we'll get into it. But in this section, we get this great scene, like Dylan said, of the wall of different freshmen. It shows the kid with the Judas Priest shirt. You got the kids in the football shirt. It just shows the different range of, freshmen, people coming in, trying to find their identity. At this point, it's basically however their mom and dad dressed them for the first day of school, right? This is where Bryce and Wheeze, and I love these two, Bryce and Wheeze, with their little fucking headsets. They bet Farmer Ted a dozen floppy disks that he cannot get proof of sex in the form of panties. Girls' panties. Great line, great timing. And then you get Ted making the face like, oh, dagger in my heart, guys. Come on. I love this scene because this is a glimpse into what it's like being around a group of boys with zero female experience. It's a fun take on it. And finally, after this ultra weird scene between Sam and Ted in the auto shop, where she goes from literally hating Ted in the previous scene on the bleachers to giving him her underwear to show the entire freshman class of boys, we get the unveiling of the underwear in the bathroom to the delight of a crowd of salivating freshman virgins, right? But this is funny because this is how legends are made in high school. Even though Ted didn't do jack shit, the next day, this story is going to grow and grow and grow to where kids are like, oh yeah, I saw me banged her in the boys' room. We all watched. Like, this is how these things are. It's how these things happen. And Ted is a hero to his loser friends after this bathroom scene. He just is. He is now the king of the flies. I mean, it's just true. And I imagine that Ted had plans to sniff those underwear into dust in his parents' bathroom over the freshman year of high school.
On the party scene, I think that might have been excessive, but your last comment was also excessive. So
flag on the play.
You and Farmer Ted have a predilection that may be problematic.
I like panties.
I won't go there,
bro.
I
like panties and bushes. What can I say?
I'll tell you what, I don't judge a brother. It's all good, man. You do your thing. As long as you ain't hurting nobody, we're all good.
All right.
My friend literally messaged me and was like, Des talks about bushes a lot, huh? I was like, yeah, he do.
Bush.
Moving right along.
You are an infant.
Yeah, I mean, how do we say it? You're absolutely right. In the food chain of high school, the game of telephone gets humongous to the point where you definitely will acquire a reputation. I went to a school as a what would I be, junior, and had to kind of face down the cool kids to get sized up and see where I fit in the fucking pecking order, all that shit.
Yep.
And I basically just was like, there's only 3 of you. What's the big deal? Because they weren't coming on like, we're going to beat the hell out of you. But it was more to the idea of they wanted to see where I was. And because I stood tall in front of the man, then I was, I guess, accepted or acceptable. And they were like, okay, you're not, you're not a whatever, not a wiener. You're not a this, you're not a that.
I said wiener.
So, well, you know the deal. I mean, even when I was
like, what's her name? The next day when they're on the phone, she's like, last night my brother paid $1 to see your underwear. Do you know what I mean? It's
great line.
Yeah,
line.
Absolutely.
Great.
And she's like, because it's classic too. I'm having a terrible fucking day. Tell me, how bad can it be? Right? It's worse. Just when you think you can't get worse, it gets worse.
Oh, my brother paid $1 to see your underwear. It's fucking awesome.
At night's end, Jake finds Ted trapped under the table and they begin to talk. Jake inquires further about Sam and Ted explains the situation. Jake makes a deal with Ted. If Ted lets Jake keep Sam's undies, then he will let Ted drive home his inebriated, stuck-up prom queen girlfriend Carolyn in his dad's Rolls Royce. They never get home because the very drunk Carolyn makes moves on Ted while he's driving before passing out. Ted takes the opportunity to drive over to Cliff and Bryce's house to ask them to take a photo of him with Carolyn together in the backseat of the car. The inept duo snap a picture, but only half of Ted's face is visible. Back at Sam's home, her father talks to her while she's stuck sleeping on the couch. He apologizes for forgetting her birthday. Her father still senses that Sam is upset over something and gently presses her to talk to him. Embarrassed at first, she admits that she's sad because of her crush on Jake, feeling he would never want her. Her father boosts her spirits by telling her that if Jake isn't interested in her, then he's not worthy of her, mentioning that she's smart, pretty, and should feel more secure about herself. This pep talk boosts Sam. I know we haven't gotten to the end of what happens with Ted and Carolyn, but fucking yuck. Fucking yuck. The whole thing's gross. Before we even get to the end scene in the church parking lot, Jake's making questionable choices as far as I'm concerned. It's bizarre behavior. He obviously cared about Carolyn at some point in his life, and yep, she's been a total douchebag and she's exhibiting crappy behavior, but he treats her pretty cheaply here, and it felt really gross to me.
Okay, so this is where the movie starts, and it just starts. In the next section, it's going to really ramp up, but it starts to become a weird fever dream. Like, this movie becomes something else starting right now, okay? So, I mean, every character goes fucking nuclear crazy. Dong, everybody. So we get this scene of Dong.
Oh.
Yes, we get this scene of Dong driving Sam home with his new girlfriend. And I immediately question, how did Dawn get this car? Did Grandma and Grandpa give an exchange student that speaks almost no English and has no driver's license the car to go to the dance with Sam? This is going to
Give
get
him the automobile.
Automobile.
we'll get answered later. It makes no sense at all. John Hughes has started having a flashback. Like, no, you write it in that Sam has got her license. She's 16. She's taking the car. No, it's Dong that's getting the car. What? What? Next, we get this scene with Sam's parents at dinner with the rice checks, right? That's not their real name, but that's what they keep calling them in the movie. It's fucking hilarious. And it's just a quick scene, but it is, and this is done to set up that Sam, she's been jealous of her sister, and we're going to see here that she really shouldn't be. Jenny's fiance is actually the mafia. Like, they're literally the mafia. It's the mob. The father explains what he does for work, and it's like, I break fucking arms, I take bets, we dabble in the garment district, we do, personal loans. It's like, oh my God. And the fucking fiance, Rudy, is a total fucking misogynistic asshole.
And he's 48.
They're psychos.
No, he's only 39, but whatever.
He's old and greasy.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And
he's a greasy bohunk.
he is gross.
But he's loved her for 6 months in
a row.
I did not realize that bohunk is a racial slur against people from Eastern European countries.
Right.
I had no idea. I just thought it was like
it's
a
a
boy
very
that's a
old.
hunk.
It's a very, very, very old term. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I read it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize it was basically a slur.
Nice. Well, there's plenty of weird, inappropriate slur type visuals and comments made in this movie. So now the party. Okay, this is where John Hughes got it wrong. I've been to lots of parties, and this stuff does not happen to this level. You don't see this stuff happening. I've done stuff at parties. I mean, I've seen movies. Have I emptied out the ice trays and peed in the ice trays with my friends and put them back in the freezer? Definitely. These are the kind of things you do when you're at a party. These are the kind of
Thankfully, ladies and gentlemen, the statute of limitations on that is up, so we're okay.
This is what you do at these parties, though. This is the fun stuff you do. You do stupid stuff. You take
that's not fun.
You take
that's not fun.
That's
not In what world is that fun?
It's not fucking fun.
You can't.
I know fun. That's not fun.
You can't imagine being drunk with your friends and doing that. It's fucking hilarious. And then the parents.
No, I can't imagine it. I just didn't. I had more impulse control than that, Des. I'm sorry.
Oh God, I'm a fucking loser.
It's all right. We love you, bro. Was that the worst? Go ahead now. Now that you've opened Pandora's box, fucker, you're going to have to tell us. What's the worst?
We've done stuff. We've had fun, but we never did anything. We never did anything that couldn't be cleaned up or, by the end of the night by everybody.
Okay.
So,
okay. By everybody. Like everybody's going to hang out and clean up. Fuck that.
When you're at a good party, you don't want it to end. You don't want it to end by breaking shit and getting kicked out and the police come in. You want to do just enough to have fun, make some memories. I also want to mention how mean Carolyn's friends are. They take joy in cutting her hair. They hate her hair. They're haters. She has beautiful. They'd have cut her nipples off if she had asked them to. They fucking don't like her. And finally, Dong's girlfriend,
because they're jealous of her.
Yeah, exactly. They're haters. They're absolutely jealous of her. They're hanging her around to get the clout off of her 35-year-old body. And they're haters because they're little fucking girls. So Dong's girlfriend, she does the most damage to the house by accidentally dropping the weights through the ceiling into the wine cellar, right? And it's Dong that destroys Grandma and Grandpa's car by crashing it into another car at the party in the driveway while the people are making out. These two have now turned into Bonnie and Clyde. They're fucking insane. They're on a spree of destruction. Next, we get this crazy deal between Jake and Ted that is so fucking outer limits. I cannot even believe that it made it into this script, okay? Jake is giving Caroline to Ted to do with as he pleases sexually, and this is made, it is sexually. He's peeping her crotch. Fucking Jake is saying she ain't going to know the difference. And as a bonus, Ted is going to get Jake's father's Rolls Royce. And in return, Jake is getting Sam's underwear. What the fuck is going on in this movie now? I'm godsmacked. This is beyond bonkers. This is where the movie goes completely off the rails. It's like John Hughes is fucking having a flashback. It's insane. And then finally we get the touching scene between Sam and her father. Now, I have a problem with this scene. Okay. I thought it was shot nice. I thought both actors did a really great job. I thought they had good screen presence together, chemistry. But the scene is so out of the flavor and the spirit of this movie. There are no scenes in this movie where this feels like a real American family with real problems and real feelings that are having real conversations. It doesn't exist in this movie. And then they're going to put this scene in there. And I was just like, wow, this just doesn't work. I don't know. Tony, what did you think?
Weirdly, I'll tell you a story that I read about Paul Dooley, who is the dad, who was an actor of some repute at that point in his career. He didn't want to take the role only because he was only in the movie at the beginning and at the end. And he kind of told Hughes, I'll do it, but you got to make me a little bit more of a real character.
Okay.
And I don't know where they interwove some of the information, but he is the first person in the family to acknowledge Sam's missed birthday, which obviously is, central to the whole plot line. But it's also the idea that he is the only person who's acting like a human in her whole family. Her fucking grandparents are off the chain, right? They're either crazy liberal or they're crazy conservative. And her mother is like an adult 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. She never tells the snotty little shit to shut up. In my family, that kid would have been beaten with a wooden spoon because he's sarcastic, sardonic little turd.
Love him.
And, in an Italian American family, you got about 5 seconds of that before you got, your comeuppance.
Tony, but you said, he's the only one that acts like a real human in the entire movie, and it's only for this scene. That's why it just took me out of it. I wish there were more.
Right? No. And I can see where you say it's disjointed, but I think unfortunately that's kind of, how do we say it? It's the idea that there is some suspension of belief, and then there's what he does.
I wish there was more of this sprinkled into the movie, though. It would have given this movie a little more heart, and it would have given it a little bit more of that Breakfast Club feel. It would have classed it up a little bit, because it really feels like Better Off Dead with John Cusack. The rest of this movie is just slapstick, fucking just BS humor movie, almost satire, American Family satire. So I wish it was a little more.
And it is not a drama. It is a comedy slash, So it's the kind of thing where you're right, but it's the idea too that it's nice to know
spirit of the movie,
especially too because she's kind of the middle kid. And if you've ever known anybody that's a middle kid, they're always going to say, "Oh, the first one had this, and I got surpassed because now it's the baby and the blah blah blah." So she's having a shit day. At least Dad gives her that kind of ground to stand on where he admits that they fucked up, that he knows that she's good people. And even to the idea too, where he gets that she's either somewhat jealous or off put by the older sister who's having the wedding. And he's like, I don't have to worry about you. You're good. You got it going on, girl.
I love the scene. I love the scene. It just kind of makes the rest of the movie feel a little bit weak,
Yeah, it's kind of like, what is this doing here? It's
or
not
where
like the
has
other
this
parts.
been? These is great, great on-screen chemistry. They're reading amazingly together. Give me a little bit more of this.
Yeah, and it's almost in the same thing with Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Ferris's father and mother are wonderful people. The problem is they're so enraptured with their own lives and careers that they forget about their kid and, their kids and what they're doing.
Well, it's funny talking about Ferris Bueller. This scene really reminds me of the scene when Cameron decides he's going to take the blame for kicking the Ferrari off into the woods wide open. And, in this movie that's really got none of this, Cameron, the actor, really delivers a powerful scene where he's crying and he's saying, I'm going to take this one, Ferris. My dad's going to deal with me finally. And this goes to the Jake Ryan thing we're saying. Is Jake kind of a Cameron? Is he someone whose parents have just literally ignored him and he's invisible? And the only way you can get noticed is to destroy the Ferrari or destroy the mansion. Notice me.
Right.
I'm here. Deal with me. So,
I think they're opposites. One is 180 degrees the other, right? One is a figure piece in a museum, and the other one is actively bought off by getting, presents instead of acknowledgement, hugs,
Yep.
the stuff that parents are supposed to be doing.
Man,
But
Tony, we just ripped up some fucking serious shit there, man.
that's right.
That was
Siskel and Ebert, step aside. We're
God
coming
damn,
through.
that was some pro shit right there, Mickey. Follow it up.
That's it.
I don't know if I can follow that.
She's not Dr. Phil.
I love Ted being stuck in the coffee table.
Yeah.
Anthony Michael Hall, like no one else. I don't care what you say. No one else could have done that role.
Right.
And I have to agree with you. Offering your drunk girlfriend in exchange for a pair of panties of a girl that you don't know is a little creepy.
And the Rolls Royce.
Yeah. Yeah. Not, the car, whatever. It's really the drunk girlfriend in exchange for the panties thing.
Well,
yes.
And we are making a little bit of a jump. He's not explicit. He does not say, do terrible things to this woman. He said, take her home. So he says, I trust you, right, with the car. I trust you, obviously, with the girl, who's really not my girlfriend and hasn't been for some time.
Why? Why do you trust him? You don't even know the fucking kid.
It doesn't really matter. Well, they had a little bonding session over martini, I mean, Tony, obviously, you gotta just go with the program in this film because it blurts out a lot.
You're not going to win this one, dude.
No, and I totally agree. They are the odd couple as well. One is a freshman who's full of bullshit and bravado for a 14-year-old, and one is 18 and he's too cool for school, and he's just fed up to here with the bullshit.
This deal between Farmer Ted and Jake in real life ends in tragedy and arrest.
Oh yeah. There's people are killed and people are arrested, and I mean, there's paperwork out the ass. Yeah, I've done that.
And her friends, honestly, were total fucking assholes. And again, you know my feelings on Jamie Gertz from The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
Mickey has a grudge she holds against actors and actresses because of their characters in other movies. You cannot get out of that.
I really try not to.
But you do. You hold the grudge.
I do.
You're hard. You're a hard woman.
It took me, not off topic, but it took me years to watch a movie with Anne Hathaway after Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, God.
What did I tell you? I rest my case, Your Honor.
I wanted to beat the shit out of Anne Hathaway after I watched that movie. But anyway, yeah. So I just think the whole thing is creepy. Like, here's my drunk, wasted girlfriend. Give me the girl's panties that likes me. What is he gonna do? Like, hey, Samantha, woo, wing him around with her on his finger, and
No, Mick. I think the whole point is that he knows if he leaves these items in the hands of this 14-year-old maniac, that they're going to be all across the school.
Yes.
By Monday morning.
Yeah, kids are going to be
so I
lending
think
them out.
He's trying to preserve what little is left of Sam's good word and kind name.
Her dignity.
And he also has a crush on her. So he's like, hey, if I make this deal, I can't give him equal. I got to give him greater for this small thing because
I guess
he's not going to give him up just because I told him.
It's fucking creepy.
He's getting the underwear back to win Sam at the end. He's going to say, hey, I got this back. These aren't going to be passed around like Saturday night dates by the freshman class.
The next morning, during the ensuing madness with all her obnoxious relatives, Sam's mother apologizes for forgetting her birthday. When the family leave for the church, they find the very drunk Dong laying on the lawn. After getting him back inside, they head off. At the church, Ginny, who's taken a few too many muscle relaxers because she got her period, causes a scene throughout the wedding ceremony. Meanwhile, Jake goes on a search for Samantha at her house, only to find Dong there getting over his hangover. Dong tells him Sam went to the church to get married. Confused, he heads to the church only to find Ted and Carolyn passed out in the backseat of the Rolls in the parking lot, where he uses the excuse of finding them together to break up with Carolyn, who has surprisingly fallen for Ted and doesn't mind the breakup very much. Bullshit. Anyways, Jake drives to the church just in time to meet an incredulous Sam after her sister's wedding. Jake admits his attraction to her and invites her over to his house rather than to Ginny's wedding reception. Sam accepts, and the story concludes with Jake and Samantha sitting in front of a birthday cake. Jake tells her to make a wish, and she replies it's already come true, and they kiss. Gross. This movie could have had a really cute ending, and the cake thing is cute, but the whole thing with Carolyn and Ted makes me feel nasty. No, she didn't fall for Ted. She doesn't even fucking know Ted. She doesn't even know he exists. She has no idea who this person is. When she wakes up, it's the first time she's met him.
Yeah.
She didn't enjoy being sexually assaulted while being inebriated. I can't give this a pass, even through 80s colored glasses.
All right. So the final act, I'm going to do this like a rant. This is going to be like Clark Griswold on Christmas Vacation when he gets the Jelly of the Month Club thing. Okay. So here we go. Final act. What can I say besides holy fucking shit? Are you kidding me? First of all, Farmer Ted and Caroline as a couple, never gonna fucking happen. No way. And Ted's parents, they'd have the cops out looking for him after he disappeared from the fucking dance. Okay? SWAT would be looking for this kid with his retainer. Second, did Caroline take a muscle relaxer or did she fucking shoot heroin before the wedding? She is over the top stupid, eating the rice. It's insane.
Oh, Ginny? Sorry.
Ginny. Sorry. Next, we get a drunk Dong. Grandpa reveals that he did, in fact, give Dong the car to use the night before. And what does Grandma do? She kicks him gang style in the solar plexus. It's like she's jumping him into the family. It's fucking horrifying.
With open-toed shoes on.
With open-toed shoes. So he's got
she's a tough old bird.
Yeah.
Don't let her fuck with
He's
you.
got camel toe fucking toeneal marks in his stomach.
She kicks him.
Well, you know what? That's what you do with a disrespectful young man.
It was like American History X.
It was,
They just
dude,
didn't pull him over to the
was.
curb.
It was. I was
Where's
waiting for
Stacey
that.
Keachard to need him?
I was waiting for that, for the fucking curb stomping. And finally, we get Jake running around town like everything is right as rain, as if his father's house isn't totally destroyed and his Rolls Royce isn't missing. Also, with no concern about Ted possibly raping Caroline at his suggestion, right? At his suggestion. Now, let me give you the positives. I almost cried when Jake was waiting for Sam and said, "Yeah, you." So hot. I love that. And his little fucking sweater, fucking vest thing. Oh my God.
He looks like he stepped out of a J. Crew catalog.
In the movie with Kevin Hart and The Rock, that's how they end that movie as well. The Rock is
Central
Intelligence. The Rock is standing in front of a red truck and Kevin Hart comes out of the door for his first day at work and he goes, "Me?" And The Rock goes, "Yeah, you." And he's wearing a little sweater vest, just like fucking Jake Ryan. It's so fucking good.
Crazy.
Yeah. And
they ought to call it lack of intelligence, but okay.
And finally, with Sam and Jake sitting on the glass table in Jake's perfectly restored house with the cake. Can I say, I'm a sucker for a happy ending. I loved it, man. I loved it. This movie's nuts.
I have to concur with you, man. I'm not a super touchy-feely guy, but I like the end. It's cutesy as shit, but it works for me. I think as Americans, we love to see the underdog win.
Yeah.
Sam is definitely the underdog, and she gets the guy, quote unquote, of her dreams. And although he's flawed, he's not as fucked up as everybody else in the movie, and that's okay. And I'll concur. Farmer Ted gets nowhere. I think it would have been a better film if all he did was stay up and talk to her, and they realized that Farmer Ted isn't the geek everybody's painted him to be, and that he's actually a pretty decent human being who's going to have respect when he sees them again. But the whole idea that there was some kind of sexual interaction between them, I don't care what you're on. There aren't enough drugs for that to go on.
No.
Right? She's never going to think he's anything more attractive than some dorky freshman. And that's just not going to happen. There's not enough booze on the planet.
Yeah, what's she going to do? Like, all right, Farmer Ted, pick me up tonight so we can go out, me, you, and your mom. She'll drive us around. And
yeah, I know you don't have a license, but you did great with the roles.
He's fucking,
too bad you got to bring that back. Yeah, no, I concur. It's the idea too. Again, suspension of reality. The question is, why do we need to suspend this part of reality?
It's
right.
bad. It's bad writing. It's bad writing.
Exactly. Well, and he's trying to tie it all up with a bow,
It's
and I
not
understand.
It's not.
Right, and it's the kind of thing too where it's almost like he's rewarding Ted's character with something like this, but it's so excessively wrong that you're just left scratching your head.
Caroline is not going to date a 14-year-old boy without a car.
No, I don't think it was even the idea of dating. It was more just the idea that there was ever going to be an attraction there whatsoever.
No.
Like I said, there isn't enough alcohol on the planet. And then, you've just turned her into the high school slut because now apparently she'll sleep with anything with a pulse.
I mean, Jake Ryan isn't enough man for her. 3/4 of the way through the movie, she goes, "You can go fuck off. There's 100 men that would kill to love me. And Farmer Ted's the one I'm choosing."
Well, and sadly, I love his response because he goes, "What is that, threat?" Kind of like, go fuck yourself.
Yep.
Because if you're that high on you,
Yep.
you can take your attitude and shove it up your ass. But
Yep.
it is what
Yep.
it is.
Yeah, her next boyfriend is not going to be going to that high school. Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's right.
Mikki,
No.
end of the movie.
I agree with you guys on the whole Carolyn. Is it Caroline? Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Doesn't matter at this point.
I agree with that. There's no way that they're just going to be like, oh, and she's going to like fall for him. Like, and I'm sorry, but when they both look at each other and he's like, did we? She goes, I think so. It's like, he's like, was I any good? She goes, I think you were. Like, what do you mean you think? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to know. Like,
It's
so I agree.
insane.
That part like was totally not necessary. I like the idea of them just staying up and him being, a respectful geek and being like, I don't, might want to make sure you're okay, blah, 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 or whatever. The scene with Jake waiting for her at the church, I don't care who you are. It's corny, but awesome.
Awesome.
And
Yes.
every single time I see this movie, as soon as I hear OMD, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? As soon as I see that part, I get all oogie. I just love it. I like that he, was kind enough to buy her a birthday cake, that they were like, okay, we kind of dig each other. I don't know if I would have done it that way. Like, I don't know if I would have gone to my house that was just trash, but is suddenly clean again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's romantic and sweet, but I don't know. I don't know what I would have done different, but I don't know if I would have ended it on that note.
Presumably, they have maids, the Ryans, people that clean up the house.
Yeah. You're going to need like a hazmat team.
Yeah, I just kind of went with the idea that he's got like 5 guys that come in a big step van, and they just, it's like in John Wick when he needs to get rid of the 5 bodies.
Yep.
He just gives them a stack of gold coins, and this guy makes this shit all.
They fix the ceiling.
But I do love that scene when she steps out and you hear the music and she's like, me, and he's like, yeah, you. Like, I just remember like being like, oh, when the first time I saw that, I was like, oh, because here's the thing, I never went for guys like Jake Ryan when I was in school. He was too white bread for me, but he was hot. I have to say, like, he was hot.
He's a good looking dude. He's a good looking dude.
As my joke went, I wonder how long they had to style his hair with that gel to make it just that perfect.
Yeah, he did have good hair. He only did a couple movies after that. Actually, he was in Mermaids.
Yep.
Oh, was he?
Cher. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I do agree with you on the Farmer Ted and Carolyn thing. But I love that scene when as soon as that music cues up, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? It was good. But I think they could have gone a whole different way with the Ted thing.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed.
All right, folks. So that's it. We have broken down 16 Candles for you. I hope that you enjoyed the discussion about the movie. So now it is time to go over to the recasting couch. I am going to recast this with one new character. I will be replacing Michael Schaffling, who played Jake Ryan, with a young Richard Gere because they look exactly alike.
Very similar.
Good point.
Yeah. Mikki, who'd you do?
I actually replaced Jake Ryan as well, but I replaced him with Austin Butler.
Who is, how do we know him?
He was in the new Elvis. He was in the movie Bikers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he works.
Yeah.
I like him. Good actor. Tony.
Thanks.
I also did Jake Ryan, but I used Crispin Glover.
Oh, that's so weird. That doesn't work at all. Lynn.
Well, that's what I'm going for, because nothing personal, but everybody in this film is kind of typecast.
Holy shit.
The first guy that popped in my head was actually a replacement for Farmer Ted, is Emilio Estevez.
No.
Well, because I don't think that it's the same energy, but it's the idea that he does the fucked up dance in another John Hughes movie with the boys in the library.
And then Emilio kicks fucking Jake's ass because he's fucking a huge jock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
possibly.
it could be, but
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
To Lynn.
You ready
you guys
for me?
are tough.
I'm
It's
ready.
my fucking recast. Shut up.
Yeah, just let him enjoy it.
Thanks.
So I did Michael Schofling as well. I feel bad. I hope Michael Schofling never hears this because
Yeah,
he's
it's
gonna
not
feel bad
personal,
that
bro. It's a tough character to pull off.
Yeah.
we all fucking recast him. I recast him with who Molly Ringwald had wanted, and she went to bat for him. And it's Viggo Mortensen.
Oh,
She wanted him.
yes.
Okay.
And
Yes.
and they went with Michael instead. But I think I would have really liked to have seen Viggo in that role and see
Dude,
what he did with it.
You know who it should have been? It just hit me. It should have been Rob
Sean
Lowe.
Penn?
It should have been
Oh.
Rob Lowe. Rob
No.
Lowe.
No,
Yeah.
because he's too slick and he
Oh.
was too, pretty boy.
Oh,
One thing I will say about the Jake that we get is that he's not that, super suave. He's kind of awkward. He's kind of here and there, and he's a little herky jerky. That
Yeah,
makes
you
him
can
real.
believe his awkwardness.
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do our alternate endings. And boys and girls, I've got a really good one for you today.
Of course you do,
Okay.
my brother. You're a frustrated writer.
This
That's
is
why.
This is great. You guys are gonna love this.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
So, as stated by Randy in the beginning of the movie, Caroline was actually held back as a senior for several years, explaining why she looks like she's 25 years old. And Farmer Ted skipped a grade, as we know he's a brain, landing him at the age of just barely 14. So in my ending, Farmer Ted's mom awakens Ted and Caroline, accompanied by the police. Caroline is arrested and does 3 years for molesting a minor. And Jake, who was held back several years as well as a senior, is arrested and does 5 years in state prison for supplying alcohol to several minors at the party. And his father is also arrested and sued by several of the parents, completely wiping out the Ryan family fortune. Grandma and Grandpa are brought up on human trafficking charges for ordering Long Duck Dong on the black market and passing him off as an exchange student. They both die in prison. And finally, Sam and her best friend
Damn.
Randy realize they're actually lesbians and live happily ever after. The end.
Damn, that's harsh.
I'll tell you, man, you
just
got
made
you got a cold heart. Everybody went to fucking jail.
This is not a John Hughes movie anymore.
That's it. It's fucking Law and
like The
Order over here
Departed.
with Dez.
Delin, what do you got going on at the end of this movie?
Okay, at the end of the movie, when fucking Carolyn wakes up Ted, they're surrounded by police because she's like, this dude fucking raped me. Like, come on. What the fuck? And yeah, so Jake and Sam do get the cake and do get the kiss, but then Jake's parents come home and his dad whoops his ass for destroying the house. Fucking hell.
Do you know what, Tony, did you write an ending this week?
I did. Grandma and Grandpa, actually, they don't go to prison. They bring in a nonprofit company where they bring in Asian, shall we say, labor workers,
God.
because it sounds nicer than, shall we say, slaves, to consistently go ahead and help elder people here in America. It becomes like a whole new industry. And Sam never has to work again because she basically runs the whole show.
So this is like that Key and Peele movie, Us. Like they're fucking bringing in foreign exchange students and pimping them out to like nursing homes.
Sure, I'll
Okay.
go with that.
Okay.
Yeah, works for me.
Human
Wherever
trafficking.
you need them, they're very flexible.
Wherever you need them. Mickey, did you rewrite the movie?
No.
Okay. I love it. I love it. That's classic. All right.
She's not going to break her streak.
Okay, let's oh, well then
One of these days, I'm going to surprise you all.
this is what we've been doing with Tony. He doesn't do an alternate. So Mickey, why don't you tell us who had the best alternate ending this week? Human Trafficking by AJ.
I gotta go, Des. I gotta go with you because it was so fucking over the top, and it suddenly became like not a John Hughes movie, but like a Clint Eastwood drama or something.
So, Dylan, that's 2 weeks in a row now I've outwritten you. You are a writer with 2 full novels. I'm just a dipshit with a 9th grade education. I think I'm laying down a challenge for next week.
You are a dipshit. You are correct.
Okay, let's do some final thoughts. We'll do a rewatch score and we'll log this thing forever. I know this movie has a ton of ethical problems, but it's a staple of my childhood and I love it. Even the fever dream ending, I love it. If you're not overthinking this for a podcast, you're just watching it, it's fucking fine. So for me, this one is scoring 3.23 points. It's better than average, but not great. Tony.
Yeah, I'm with you. I dig it. Molly Ringwald is extremely expressive. Her facial stuff, and great soundtrack, well cast, well shot. It gets a little weird to the end, but I was going 3-2-5. You went 3-2-3.
Yep.
I'm gonna bump it up just a little and make it a 3-2-7.
I like
just to
that.
be different.
So we saw
All
it
right.
very similar. Mikki,
Absolutely.
how'd you see this movie?
Again, I love the nostalgia of it. It just brought me back to being, a young teenager in the 80s. The soundtrack was amazing. The acting was fun. There were the couple parts that we talked about that I could have done without. But overall, I think it was really accurate for that time. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
And Lynn.
I had a lot of problems with it. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, they got a lot right, but then there's other parts of it there I was just like, "Bleh," like gross, hate this.
You threw up a little in your mouth.
I did. But you know what? You guys are right. The soundtrack is pretty bomb, and there was a lot of things that were good in here. There was just some things that I thought were egregiously bad. I was low twos. I think I'll do 2.78 just so I don't totally blow it out of the
Okay,
water.
a little bit better than average.
Yes.
Okay, so add them up and tell us where it lands on the Hey, did you ever see that movie charts?
It is number 74. It is right below Don't Look Up, and it is right above Night of the Comet.
Oh man, it's right where it belongs. It's definitely not as good as Don't Look Up. Few movies are, and definitely a little better than Night of the Comet. So I think this is great. The system works. Okay, on our sister podcast, Violent Vinyl Radio, Dave made a very odd choice for a hair metal show as he's picked ZZ Top Eliminator. I would call this more beard rock than hair metal, but
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
but whatever you got. And like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks where we will be discussing the original Jaws with Tony. And we are discussing possibly doing less than zero, maybe for us, but we're gonna throw the idea around. If you guys would like to
He's
hear
gonna
less,
tease it. Look out, people.
yeah, if you guys would like to hear less than zero on the next Dysfunctional Date Night, leave a comment on YouTube on this episode and tell us what
Or
you
you
think.
know what? For that $5 on Patreon, we will take a request.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yes. If anybody
Throw us the $5, you get your film. Come on.
eventually this podcast will pick up more. I mean, we're not going away. 140 episodes, so you fucking deal with
That's it.
Eventually it's going to pick up and you're going to be paying $100 for a movie request, right? So $5 on the Patreon and you're going to get your movie on the next date night.
You can't beat that anywhere.
You can't. And we'll read your fucking little email about why you picked the movie on the show. So that's a challenge. I'm dropping a challenge.
Could you make it any more condescending?
Make it a superstar.
Okay, that's it. Until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey,
Oh, I want to say something. we do have a membership on Patreon. I just looked it up. Somebody signed up. One
Yes!
person.
Get the fuck out of
There
here.
we go.
Somebody signed up?
One person.
Did they give us
That's
any
all it
money?
takes
Says
is
one.
one.
Did they give us
baby.
any
It
money?
says one.
Did they give us any money?
I'm assuming they're going to give us $5. I don't know how it works.
Well, who
You
is
can't
it?
be a
First
member
time-
on Patreon if you don't pay.
Who is it?
First
how it
time
works.
you, first time me. So
Who is it? Can we give him a shout out?
I don't know. Let me look.
A drum roll, please.
It's a free member and it's radio.
Okay.
It's radio.
Radio.
All right.
You can't.
It's okay.
You can't get a movie request for free, but I do appreciate you signing up for Patreon. So there you go.
Right on.
Radio.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Radio.
radio's our guy, man, or our gal. Love the listener. Always there for us. Always commenting. Always liking.
Thanks.
That's the kind of fucking listeners that we need. So shout out to Radio. That's what you get for free on Patreon. Until next time, I just got one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.